We're live.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. My name is Isaac. Before we get started, I just want to point your attention to our main website where you can find out about more virtual scheduling, such as read out loud sessions, um, presentations, and author talks, and all sorts of entertainment that's happening throughout the day and throughout the week. Today, we have an author talk with, we have a Memorial Day program with Sergeant Van Taylor. Getting some background with this. Let me get this together. All right. So we have again a Memorial Day program with Master Sergeant Taylor. Sergeant Taylor is the Wing Integrated Resilience Manager assigned to the 552 Air Control Wing, Tinker Air Force Base, Oklahoma. He provides integrated resilience training for over 4,800 personnel wing-wide and covers 3 geographical separated units in Idaho, Utah, and Texas. Sergeant Taylor is responsible for creating programs, processes, and events that help sustain, improve, or change the culture within units with the direct help of the unit's senior leaders. Additionally, he provides additional training for suicide prevention, mental health, first aid, unconscious bias, and diversity and inclusion. Thank you for joining us and welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate the introduction.
So before we get started, I just want to, can you tell the viewers where you're calling in from?
Yeah,
You're
absolutely.
joining us from?
Yeah, I'm calling in or zooming in from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. So Air Force Base is literally right down the street from my house, about 10 minutes. If you guys have never been to Oklahoma, you, Oklahoma City is definitely what we call a big little city. So it has kind of some of the big city attributes to it, but it's small population. Oklahoma City is definitely what we call a big little city.
All right, so my first question is how did you, or when did you enlist into the military and why?
So I officially enlisted into the Air Force August of 2004 on the 23rd. I first actually joined in the delayed entry program. That's what you do before you actually go to basic training for the Air Force. My junior year of high school, which was I think it was 2002. So I was actually in the delayed entry program for about 2 years. So that's when I joined, and obviously it's been a decade and a half since I joined, and I joined because I wasn't exactly sure of my path forward. I didn't really know what I wanted to do in my life. I knew college could have been an option, only because that's what is kind of ingrained in us from when we're little. Everybody says, hey, after high school you got to go to college, you got to go to college. So
I'm hearing some background, so I don't know if you have to mute one of your
I don't.
you have 2 cameras going. I'm hearing two interferences.
Nope, only got one.
Okay.
Let me see. There's something on my Facebook or something. Can you hear anything now? Is it in the background? So you're on mute.
I hear an echo.
All right, so let me go test. Still an echo?
Okay, you can continue.
Okay, so yeah, so you were asking about why I joined, correct? Yeah, so like I was saying, I didn't exactly know what I wanted to do going forward after high school. I had a few friends that were already interested in joining the Air Force, so kind of naturally I gravitated toward that, kind of that circle of influence that certain people have on you. And As I started kind of going through my high school years, it started to become more of a reality of, hey, let me go into this organization that'll at least give me some, a head start or some stepping stones to actually figuring out what I wanted to do in my life. And so besides the normal, hey, I want to join for education, I want to join for travel, I want to join to get away from, where I'm currently at, those things. At that point, there wasn't a big interest of, I wanted to serve because I wanted to serve my country and I wanted to be a patriot and all those, cliche things. It was nothing like that at first. So those were kind of the beginning of the stages of why I wanted to join the Air Force. You're on mute.
Why did you join the Air Force and opposed to joining the Marines or the Army or any other branch?
Right. So, there are a number of options. You have the Air Force, the Army, the Navy, the Marines, the Coast Guard. You have active duty, you have Guard, you have Reserve. So there were a lot of choices. However, it was very simple to me because I was not, I don't want to say starstruck, but I was very impressed by the Air Force, and because that was the first service that I was actually introduced to. It was the first service that my friends talked about, and it was the first service my dad took me to for the recruiting station. So, and the thing about it is most recruiting stations, they have all the services in the same building. So when I went to the Air Force recruiter, it had the Army right there, it had the Marines, it had the Navy. But for whatever reason, I just was not attracted to any of the other services. And the funny thing about that is I ended up being an Air Force recruiter. And it's funny how certain people just navigate toward certain services, and that their personality really reflects that service. And I've worked with the Army, the Marines, the Navy in different assignments throughout my career. And I knew I have constant affirmation that I definitely chose the right service based on my personality.
Can you talk about, you said different personalities will fit certain branches, but can you talk a little bit about the difference in the branches?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you look at the Air Force, obviously kind of the key word in that title is air. Our dominant primary mission is to be the most, lethal, most agile, most dominant force in the air, and that includes space as well. And that's why we recently created a space force to also dominate the space as well. So predominantly, the Air Force is responsible for pretty much everything in the air, traveling, getting people and cargo from one place to another through airlift, domination in the air, patrolling the airspace. Just like where I'm at right now, Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma is the home of the AWACS, is a surveillance type of aircraft. So we do there's a lot of missions that we conduct that help with either surveillance or tracking enemy aircraft over a certain airspace and seeing who's friendly, who's not. So just dominance of the air is the main mission for the Air Force. The Army the Army and the Marines serve. Well, let me split that up. The Army is more of a ground type of missions. So if you kind of remember back in way back in the days, there was only two branches, like the Army and the Navy. Army controlled everything on the ground, all the missions on the ground, and the Navy controlled everything in water. So if it has anything to do with water, then the Navy would take care of it. So from ships to submarines to water walks, scuba diving, anything like that. And eventually, there was another service that was born from the Navy, which was the Marines. So the Marines do a lot of, for lack of a better words, assault type of missions. So they are definitely in the actual fight a lot more than any of the other branches, as far as, kind of hand to hand, to face combat type of situations. And then you do have the Coast Guard, which is more responsible for protecting the United States coastline and the almost to the international water areas. And then now we have a new branch, which is the Space Force. So predominantly cyberspace, airspace. We're trying to dominate, make sure we're also dominating in the space environment as well. So pretty cool stuff for the Air Force. Currently the Space Force is directly under the Air Force as of right now, just like the Marines are under the Navy right now.
Can you talk a little bit on how you became a sergeant, the process to become a sergeant? I see you have some medals and on your uniform. Can you just talk about that process and for those who are interested in the Air Force, what they can expect?
So the process has changed a few times over the years since I've been in. However, the basics of it is that your first few years, you gain rank by just serving your time. So your first, let's say E1, the enlisted rank is E1 through E9. From E1 to E4, it's just a waiting game. So after so many months, you'll get promoted to your next rank. And then E5 is where that is the first level of sergeant, which is a staff sergeant. So for the E5 and E6, those two levels, there's a few things that go into the promotion at those levels. The main thing is you have two tests that you need to take. You need to take a test on the Air Force. So that's Air Force knowledge, Air Force history, anything that has to do with just Air Force stuff in general. And then there's a test you take on your job. So for me, my job by trade, what I came in the Air Force to do was emergency management. So the first test I ever took for my first sergeant exam was one on the Air Force and one on emergency management. So which was pretty detailed. So you do have to test for your rank up to a certain point. And what else come in considerations are these things right here. So some of these medals right here actually will give you points toward your promotion if you do certain things. So like kind of this one at the very top, that'll give me 3 points toward my promotion. And at each kind of Oakley cluster, so you see I have a couple of them, is 3 additional points. So doing things like that will help with promotion. You get to a certain level, to a certain sergeant level, where they want you to be a leader. So they have taken the test away to what rank I am right now as a master sergeant. So you actually go onto a board where they review your records to see how good of a leader you have been based on your records. So they want to see how well you lead people, how well you influence people, and what type of leader are you currently right now and that you're projected to be.
For the viewers who are like 18, 19, who are coming out of high school, what can they expect for like boot camp and their first deployment?
Yeah, all right. So good. Challenging question, because the first one, as far as boot camp, I can tell you some general things about boot camp because it has, like I said, I went in 16 years ago, so it definitely has changed. However, the general aspects of boot camp is that the whole point of it is to get you to a point where you know how to operate in a military environment. So you know how to follow directions, you know how to execute certain things. You know how to have attention to detail. You know what uniformity looks like. You know what um, you know good leadership looks like, bad leadership. You have learned some history about the military, about the Air Force, and you know what core values mean, and what it means to have integrity and service before self and excellence in all we do. But I can tell you that you will, if you're not in shape, you're probably going to get in shape by the end of the course, because we do exercise pretty frequently. A lot of the kind of the horror stories I think people hear is like, everybody, they're going to be yelling in my face and they're going to be telling me what to do and things like that. The yelling, yes, you will get yelled at, but it's for a purpose. It's to teach you how to make decisions and react under stressful situations. So I'm sure majority of our parents have yelled at us throughout time, and it got to a point where we were still able to function, even though that they were yelling at us. And that's the same concept when it comes to basic training. Is we're just trying to teach you how to function under stress and still make decisions and still pay attention to details, because as we all know, life can be stressful, and we're just making it a little bit more stressful so you can build up these resiliency tools to press on and go through. And
How do you
then
prepare for
uh, one way to prepare for basic training is start to work out before you go, start to wake up early before you go, so you can get into a routine. And if once you figure out that this is a game and there's a structure to this game as far as basic training, it can be very, very easy, because you almost do the same thing every single day. You're going to wake up at the same time every day. You're going to go to sleep at the same time every day. You're going to eat at the same time every day. You're going to go to class the same time every day. You learn how to march the same time every day. You're going to do a lot of things very on pretty much repeat. So once you learn those things very rapidly, it becomes, I don't want to say a breeze, but it kind of becomes a breeze, as long as you can start to figure out what the pattern is. And that's the biggest thing. Once you figure out, hey, this is a pattern, we're doing these things on a regular basis, it doesn't become that difficult.
deployment?
So deployments, I've been on 3 deployments throughout my career. I've been to Afghanistan with some stops in Iraq. I've been to Honduras, and I've been to Abu Dhabi, which is in Dubai. So have a couple of deployments under my belt. Each deployment is different. If you get deployed to the desert, you can expect it to be hot, and more hot. So if you want to get a taste of how hot it's going to be in like the midst of summertime, get a blow dryer and just kind of go like this on your skin for about 3 seconds. And that's how hot it is. It is insane how hot it is. And that's why you just have to, hydrate a lot. There's pallets of water everywhere. There's sand everywhere. So if you can see my uniform in the back of me, that is like the color of everything out there. So when you get deployed to a desert environment, everything is tan pretty much, for specific reasons. Camouflage, you don't want people trying to, see what you're doing from a distance with binoculars and things like that. There's always a method to the madness. But it is, it can be a very exciting time in your career, because the camaraderie that comes with it, and the feeling that's like when you really get that feeling like, hey, I'm making a difference. I'm actually, like, when people talk about serving their country, you really feel like you're actually serving when you're in that deployed environment, because you are making 100% impact and difference in that location. I remember when I was in Afghanistan, this was when Afghanistan had their first democratic presidential election, and those ballots came through my location, and we had to secure them and make sure nobody tampered with them, make sure that they got to their next destination in Kabul at the time. So, having that type of impact and knowing what that meant was just, enormous. But deployments can be fun. You just get, real close with people, and they become, your brother, they become your sister. Uh, Everybody's looking out for each other. Everybody, because we're all trying to make it home. Not every location is dangerous, but the thing is, there's always a threat. So, and when you're in this uniform, there you have a higher, you know, threat level than other people. So,
I'm going to shift the conversation a little bit and talk about Memorial Day. So, what does Memorial Day mean to you?
you know what? I try to think about this more often than just on Memorial Day. Uh, it's really about the reason I am here and able to talk to you right now, the reason I'm able to wear this uniform, the reason I'm able to even get promoted to this rank is because all of the people that have came before me, the barriers that they have broken down and busted through, the things that they were so bold to challenge and complete and sacrifice. So it means a lot because most people go throughout their lives. There's only 1% of the citizens of the United States that actually serve in the armed forces. So for that 1% to say, yes, I'm gonna put my life on the line for the other 99, and I'm assuming the risk that I might not make it home at some point, but it's for the sacrifice. So you can have the freedom to say the things that you want. You can have the freedom to protest the things that you want. You can have the freedom to travel anywhere you want. You can have the freedom to do all these things that a lot of other countries just do not have. And one of the benefits that the Air Force has given me is my ability to travel all around the world and see how different countries do live and see the restrictions and laws that they do have that the United States does not. And we're just, I think we take for granted how free we actually are, and it's because of the sacrifices that these individuals made. And more importantly, I always try to, um, give thanks to the Tuskegee Airmen because they broke so many racial barriers, not only in the Air Force but just in the military as a whole. And if it wasn't for them, if it wasn't for all the other soldiers and sailors and Marines and airmen who sacrificed their life from today, all of it dating back to the beginning of time, I we wouldn't be able to be here and have this conversation. There's a lot of things that I'm sure that you do that you wouldn't be able to do if it wasn't for the sacrifice of these individuals. So it means even more to me because I do wear the uniform and I know what these individuals, or I can get a better idea of what these individuals have sacrificed and how much they have given every single day. The things that I have to constantly give up in order to wear this uniform. It can take a toll on you. I've been doing this for 16 years now, and it does take a toll on you. But I know I'm doing it for a greater good. This is something above me, and that's why I continue to do it, and I'll do it for at minimum for the next 5 years.
How do you reflect and honor the men and women who have lost their lives on Memorial Day?
So I use I do a few things. I like to mix my passion with ensuring these individuals get recognized. So one of the major things I do every Memorial Day is due to some type of fitness event that honors and recognizes either all fallen heroes, or highlight a specific one. So like on Thursday at my base, we had a Memorial Day rucksack run or walk. So me and my wife, we put on some 15 to 20 pound vests and ran a what was it, a 10K, so 6.2 miles to honor the fallen, to recognize them. And some veterans came out that run the Veterans Affairs clinics and areas. We had so the mayor of the city come out and speak a few words. And then just this morning, before I got on with you, we did a Memorial Day tradition that we do. It's called, it's part of the CrossFit community. It's called Murph. And it was named after Lieutenant Michael Murphy. If you guys have ever seen the movie Lone Survivor, that workout was named after him. It's a workout that he loved. It's a mile run, 100 push-ups, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats, and another mile run. And right now it is pouring down rain in Oklahoma City. So at 9 o'clock this morning, we ran in the rain, came in, did all the pull-ups and push-ups and squats, and then did another mile all in the rain. But it was for to honor the sacrifice that he made, and many of before him have made. And then the last thing, we like to binge watch military movies.
Any advice for the younger generation on how they can reflect on this day?
I sit back and think, what would be the best ways that somebody could reflect or honor, this day, or just kind of throughout, the year on a consistent basis. And I want to make sure that people know that Memorial Day is for us to remember the fallen, not to thank or remember or congratulate the people that are currently serving on active duty. It's for the people who died in this uniform. And the easiest way, or just a simple way for people to memorialize or to really pay attention to this date and throughout the year, is write down 5 to 10 things that you can freely do, right? There's certain, we have the freedom of speech, right? That's one thing. Freedom to protest, freedom of assembly. And go research what other countries do not have that freedom, right? We have the freedom to vote. What other countries do not have that? They have a dictatorship, and that this one person is just going to be in power. So just write down a few things, or say to yourself a few things, what you are freely to do, and see how many other people in the world do not share those same freedoms. And that's something that you can do on a regular basis. And I try to practice that on a daily basis. It's one of the resilience skills I teach is gratitude, and just being thankful that I have the ability to, go say the things I want to go, protest peacefully when I want to, based on issues that I believe in. So I try to really do that on a regular basis, because I don't think a lot of us take enough time to pause and say, I am so thankful I have the ability to do this. I think we hear a lot of complaints about social media and how people just say just crazy stuff on there. Well, it's because of the sacrifices that people have made in this uniform that we have the freedom of speech to say all these outlandish things on social media, whether we believe that they're right or wrong. It doesn't matter. It's that, hey, there are people who died to give you that freedom to do that. So I try to read in between the lines when people complain about certain things like that. I'm like, hey, they may be saying, wacky stuff that you don't necessarily agree with, but guess what? They have that freedom because of, individuals who have worn this uniform and died in it.
I noticed throughout a lot of military cemeteries throughout the country, there's a lot of flags being placed on graves. Can you talk a little bit about that and why that's done on this day?
Yeah, it's just another way to honor and memorialize the individuals who have given their life in the service to this country, and to really show that these people are not forgotten. There's a lot in certain veteran cemeteries, especially in the Arlington National Cemetery. There's a lot of unmarked graves because there were, World War One and World War II, Korean War. There was a lot of bodies that just weren't able to identify, but we had enough remains, and we still wanted to provide them a veterans burial. So some of them are unnamed, and that's just our way of, or somebody's way of saying, hey, your sacrifice has not been forgotten. I appreciate what you've done. And I want to honor that. So you'll see that throughout the country, that is a normal practice that a lot of people do. And it is, and I'm glad you brought that up, because there's another thing that actually starts to happen. Somebody invented a GPS type of app where people have gathered bits and pieces of information about people's tours that have died throughout all the wars that we have had. And you can go to the cemetery and put in some of the information, and family members can start trying to identify, who these, unnamed remains are. So that's another thing that is starting to happen traditionally.
Since we are a library, can you give any recommendations on books that people who are watching this can read, whether it's on the Air Force or any other branch in the military? Some of your favorites. Can you suggest any recommendations?
So since I'm a big advocate of resilience, I do my best to be a resilient person. And being in the military, you definitely need to have some resilience and constantly working on that, because there is a lot of adverse things that we go through. But for anybody that wants to get some motivation to be more resilient, there are two books that I definitely recommend. One is called A Train: Memoirs of a Tuskegee Airman, and it goes through just all of the things from the time that they got selected for flight training, where they lived and where they trained at Tuskegee University. It is a phenomenal book to really see how, resilient a person can be, and how important, friendship is, brothership, sticking together, people with shared experience. It is a phenomenal book to really discuss and prove resilience. They went through a lot of stuff, like just, you're at that time fighting for a country that didn't even let you, use the same water fountain or bathroom as their, Caucasian counterparts. So it was, some very, very tense experiences. And I personally connect to this book because I was able to go down to Alabama and Tuskegee to look and visit the place where they did all their flight training and where they lived, and the officer clubs or the clubs that they were able to attend and things like that. So phenomenal book, just a constant account of all the things that they went through. And then the second one is called Into the Mouth of the Cat: The Story of Lance Saigon, Hero of Vietnam. So Captain Lance P. Saigon is a well-renowned hero in the Air Force, and we have an award actually named after him which is pretty significant. It's a pretty significant award. But this guy, he was in the Vietnam War, had to eject. He was flying a mission, had to eject from his aircraft, and fractured his skull, broke his fingers, contusions all around his body. Was barely could walk or couldn't walk at all. But he survived in the Vietnam jungle for 46 days, evading capture. Right? You have to have some stuff in you to evade capture for 46 days from the Viet Cong. But he was captured, eventually wasn't captured. And even when he was captured, he still escaped another time from the POW camp, and then was tortured and all these things, and didn't give up any information, zero intel about what missions the military was working at that time. So he did eventually die in captivity, but his service before self, his integrity, his oath that he took to protect and defend the United States Constitution and his fellow man. And it's an amazing story about courage and dedication and integrity and resilience. And so those two books are definitely a must read, and they're not super long, but they're great stories. They are phenomenal stories.
We are coming to the end of this segment. Just want to thank you for your service. Maybe you can drop your contact information for people who are interested or have more questions about your experience or joining the Air Force. They can contact you.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you do want to shoot me an email, it is Jonathan, JONATHAN .V is in Victor, Taylor, TAYLOR @outlook.com. And feel free to shoot me a message. Just say, hey, I saw you on the chat, the Facebook Live, and if you have any questions, concerns, please hit me up.